What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Plan for Podcast Short Series. Today we are discussing Tua Tagovailoa's NFL debut yesterday against the Los Angeles Rams. As always, joined by my co-host Matthew. How's it going, man?
Doing great, brother. Feels good to be back. I know it's been a while, and I know we got a lot of things lined up for this week, so I'm excited to get it started tonight.
Yeah, I had a pretty crazy week last week. Had your wedding reception,
Yep.
and then just a couple other things going on. I think we had two birthdays: your dad's birthday, my wife's birthday. So glad to be back on track. Even though we did have 2,300 views last week, had 13 subscribers, so it was a productive week. Even though we didn't get out of the podcast or the videos we wanted to, but nonetheless, good to be back. So we're gonna talk about Tua's debut yesterday against the Rams. I think you probably got to watch it more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we'll start off with when they announced that Tua was going to be the starter in Week 9 or Week 8, sorry. What was your initial reaction, and how did you think it was going to go?
Well, at first I was shocked, because like me and you had talked about earlier, we knew that we thought he would start at some point in this year, this season. I didn't think it'd be this soon. I think it's impressive to pull the plug and say, hey, let's, because Fitzpatrick has been doing pretty well, safe to say. And starting two against the Rams, Rams are historically a great team, especially in the last recent years, and I know they have a great defense. So I was nervous at first, but I thought, hey, what a better way to test the man than to put him out here against the Los Angeles Rams in his debut. So.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I looked at because the Dolphins schedule got moved around with the COVID games and all that. And when I first saw the announcement, I went immediately to their schedule. I was like, well, who do they play? And I saw Los Angeles and Los Angeles. And immediately I thought that was the Rams 2 out of the next 3 weeks. So I hated it as soon as I saw it. Fortunately, it's not the Rams back-to-back, or 2 out of 3 weeks. It's the Rams and the Chargers. But I believe the original plan was to go with Tua during the bye week, which they did, but the bye week was supposed to be week 11, and it got pushed up 3 weeks, so it kind of brought everything forward. But nonetheless, I think it was the plan all along. I kind of agree with you. I don't know if it was the right time with how the Dolphins were playing and how Fitzpatrick was playing.
Mm-hmm.
But, it worked out for them. They beat the Rams, who they've kind of struggled off and on this year. They started out hot, but I think most of their wins were against the NFC East. And then I picked the Rams to beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins found other ways to score, one defensive touchdown, a punt return touchdown. So they got the job done, and it just kind of shows you that the Dolphins they're a good, or I'll say they're a better all-around team than what everyone thought they were.
Yeah.
Offense is kind of still finding their groove. Defense is playing really well. They got a lot of young players. And I'm pretty sure they have the Texans draft pick this year, which I think as of right now would give them the number 4 pick in the draft. So they have a lot of talent, a lot of upside, and they're only going to go up from there too.
Yeah. I think too, watching the Dolphins, at the beginning of the season, I thought, well, you know what, this team might have, because they competed with the Bills early, and I thought, this team could be decent. And I was expecting Fitzpatrick to play the whole year, to be honest. I thought Tua would come in, if they were getting blown out or if they were up big. But, they're sitting right now at second in the AFC East behind the Bills and potentially could be a playoff team. So this could turn out to be a different type of rookie year than you would expect for Tua.
Yeah, I saw I think it was on Get Up this morning, people were talking about how they were kind of wondering if they had wasted the draft pick on Tua, so they just kind of threw him in there just to see it. I don't believe that. I don't think they ever once questioned him and his ability to perform. I think it was more they just didn't want to throw him in there before he was ready. But yeah, you look at the rest of their schedule. They have the Bills twice, I believe.
Yep, they've already played them, and then they play them last game of the season.
Yeah, so they finish with the Bills. They play the Patriots, the Chiefs, and then Cardinals, Raiders, and a few other teams. And initially I didn't really support Tua getting to play, but when I started thinking about it and started breaking it down, I think how the Dolphins season would finish out from this point forward kind of didn't matter who they have at quarterback because they're going to play the Cardinals, who, in my opinion, are probably going to win that game. Cardinals look really good against Seattle, and they've
Mm-hmm.
looked good all year. They're just trying to figure out how to use D-Hop and get their offense going. The Chargers, that could be a toss-up game. Kind of depends on, if the Chargers have blew 4 games in a row where they had a 16-point lead. So it depends on if the Chargers can hold on to a lead or not. Broncos could be a
Right.
toss-up. They'll beat the Jets. Bengals are a toss-up. Lose to the Chiefs. Patriots will be a toss-up depending on if they get on the roll again. Raiders are a toss-up, and then the Bills will probably be a loss. I think when you look at the rest of their schedule, it don't really matter who's at quarterback, whether it be Tua or Fitz. I think the outcome will probably be the same. How do you see the
Mm-hmm.
rest of their season panning out?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Fitz, of course he has a lot more experience, and I feel like he was not doing too bad given, the role that he has amongst the league and how he's been the last few years. I think he's a great quarterback, to be honest. I really do. He always does well. He's not out there for show. He's out there to win. And but the same's for Tua. I don't think he really cares about stats at all. Especially by this week, I saw a video of him dancing, celebrating the victory. But he didn't have great stats, but he knew they won the game, so that's all that matters. But besides that, um, I'm with you. I think there's a couple games the rest of the season that I think we're going to see Tua, throw a couple picks, have a couple turnovers, and people are going to start saying the same things. But overall, I think they're just, outside of their defense, they just lack depth in a lot of key areas, especially on offense. You don't really have a standout player, so most other teams do. So it kind of makes it harder I think, for the Dolphins to, succeed, I guess you can say. But other than that, I feel like I think he's going to be okay. Staying healthy, if he stays healthy, is the key. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the reason that they put two in when they did. They kind of saw the season going, um, I'll say 50-50, where they could win a bunch of games, they could lose a bunch of games, or all in all, they could finish like 4-4 to finish the year. And I think they were kind of looking at it with that mindset of where it doesn't really matter if Fitz is in. We could probably still win some of these games. Let's put two in there
Mm-hmm.
and see what he can do. And a lot of people didn't expect him to beat the Rams. They end up doing that. That's a good start for Tua in his career. I'm gonna bring up his stat line really quick. Um, he was 12 for 22, 93 yards and touchdown and one strip sack. Didn't turn the ball over through the air. The strip sack, sometimes that's on the quarterback's fault. Sometimes that's the O-line. It just kind of depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, he didn't play bad at all. He didn't turn the ball over. He got the win. He was there. He don't care about stats. He wants to win. And he got, Miles Gaskin had a big game. He only had 50 yards, but he still had a good, solid performance. The only thing I would like to see moving forward is what I watched of the game. It seemed like they relied on Miles Gaskin a lot. And then if Tua was in the shotgun, then he was throwing. I want to see more of him kind of under center, kind of mix it up, and let Tua just beat Tua. I feel like they kind of sheltered him a little bit in his first start. I want to see him just kind of open up and let him run the offense and see what he can do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When I think of Tua, in terms of who he's most like, I guess you could say, across the league, especially veteran quarterbacks, he kind of has always reminded me of Drew Brees. He's real good controlling the ball, real good accuracy, throws the ball really well, but he's really good in the pocket. You got to see a bunch of that in college. So I think, like you're saying, taking some snaps under center, some play action passes. I think after the weeks go on, I think we'll see him get more comfortable. Because this, I'm sure it's a lot different than lining up out there in college versus the NFL. So he's probably got a lot on his mind, I guess you could say. Um, but yeah, he really does. He reminds me of Drew Brees, how clean he is in the pocket. I think we see a lot more of that as the year goes on, especially if they still are competing for a playoff spot. So
Yeah, I never really thought of that comparison, but I like it. Tua to me is one of the better pocket passers that I've ever seen, especially in college. Um,
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he has great awareness in the pocket. He last year compared to the year before last in college, he felt like, or I feel like he was a lot smarter with the football, and you're kind of seeing that same thing in Mac Jones this year too. They're being
Yeah.
smart with it. They're not forcing it. They're hitting the open man, or they're finding their check down, um, or they're just getting rid of the ball. And I think as long as that translates to the NFL and Tua keeps that same mentality and just progresses with it, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not turning the ball over, then you're doing all you're asked as a quarterback. I mean, you hear the saying like end every drive with a kick, punt pass, or extra point, or sorry, punt, kickoff, or extra point, whatever it is. If you're not turning the ball over, then you're doing the job at the quarterback. You're not putting stress on the defense. You're putting your team in a
Hmm.
position to win. It's much better to end the drive with a 40-yard punt and flip the field than to throw a pick and then get the ball right there or something like that. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they use him this week against the Cardinals at Arizona. I can see that game being kind of high scoring, kind of not, just depending.
Hmm.
Um, NFL is so weird this year; it's hard to get a read on really anything. But I do think they'll open Tua up a little bit and they air it out some more and add some more versatility to the offense this week.
Yeah, I agree. The Dolphins are, it's no, you know, secret that their defense is pretty much what gave them the overall victory this past weekend. And I consider them a top 10, top 12 defense, based on performances this year. And Jared Goff, I know he had a lot of turnovers, especially in the first half. Wound up throwing for almost, I think, 360 yards, 255 yards, something like that. And then the defense gave up 130 yards rushing. So I think we could see a lot of passing this week from the Cardinals. I think they know going into it, hey, we're going to be able to throw the ball. So I think it's going to be the same in return to keep up with the amount of points that I think the Cardinals will put up. I think we see Tua throw the ball a lot more. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think something that the Dolphins have going for them that not a lot of teams can say is they don't have injury problems. They don't have people out with COVID. They don't have. I think I just looked at their injury report and they have like 3 people on it. And this ain't counting, the tight hamstring doesn't practice tomorrow but plays on Sunday. I'm talking about people that are actually out.
Yeah.
They only have like 2 people that are out, so they're really healthy, and that goes a long way. Xavier Howard's healthy, Devontae Parker, Miles Gaskin, Matt Breida. The list goes on and on. I think they have one receiver that chose to set out the year. Um, but other than that, I mean, health is a big thing in the NFL, especially this year with so many injuries. I mean, you look at the 49ers, they were in the NFL last year, or in the championship last year, and now they have like 6 starters out for 8 weeks to the year. So if the Dolphins
Yeah.
can stay healthy, then I think they'll have success. Um, Still kind of too early to tell whether they make a run at the playoffs, but it's definitely open. I definitely could see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anything else you want to touch on before we close it out, and then we can pick back up on it later in the NFL podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I think, as the couple weeks go on, we can kind of come back and do a separate Tua video just to kind of backtrack on what's happened in recent weeks. Because, like we said, it wasn't a statistical standout game, but they did get the win. I'm excited for Tua. I'm excited to watch him, and hope he stays healthy. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him, so I'm excited to talk about him more in the future.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is just can Tua stay healthy. How's that hip going to play out? A little bit of ankle problems, but yeah, I think if he stays healthy, then we'll be good. But yeah, so we planned on doing this video. I think we talked about it on Friday, even before his debut. So I think we were both kind of hoping for a little bit more to talk about performance-wise. But
Right.
all in all, they did get the victory, and that's all that matters. Um, so yeah, so we're gonna close this one out. You can catch the Point After Podcast NFL actual podcast later on this week, probably on Thursday or Friday, somewhere in there. Let us know what you thought about Tua's debut. Um, anything that you agree with or disagree that we spoke on, and we'll be sure to keep an eye on Tua and his progression throughout the 2020 NFL season. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys later.